Well, welcome on to the Missed Apex Racing Motorsport Formula Renault 3.5 Championship here for round 5. Race 2 is on its way very, very shortly. The first of the reverse grid races, 2 reverse grid races that we're going to have tonight. We've already done the first race of the evening, the feature race, 20 laps around here at Interlagos, and we're not far away from the second race. My name's John O'Leary. I'm alongside Mike Stoner for this one. And Mike, you saw that first race, of course. What did you take away from that opening race of the evening, the opening 20 laps that we had in race 1 there for the feature?
Yeah, it seemed that pit stop strategy was pretty key. I mean, Danny was battling with Luke Power for most of the race. Danny then took a slightly earlier pit stop, came out in some traffic, and then had an instant drop back to about 12th place, and Gregoire Gomez came through and took the win. So yeah, it's a shame for Danny there, but pit stops are the key thing. Although of course the next 2 races we're not going to have any pit stops, so it's just going to be like a sprint race from start to finish.
Yeah, it will be 11 laps for these 2 races, the sprint races, 13 laps I should say, not 11, 13 laps for the 2 races, races 2 and 3 here coming up. Now, in the early moments of that race, and you will have seen this again, Mike, it was not a lot of overtaking between the front 4, even if they were very close, and there probably were chances as well, but there was no overtaking. Now we're in the second race, of course, where surely everybody is almost going to be forced to make overtakes here in this reverse grid race, because those who finished up the front, of course, will be down to the lower part of the top 20 at the end of all that. Just wonder how easy or difficult it's going to be for them to work their way through the field here tonight, and on whether we're going to see a situation where we get a bit of a surprise winner for race 2.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think it looked like it was Matt Cook who's going to be on reverse grid pole, but we'll see in a few minutes once they grid up. But Matt again is a good racer. He's a good guy, and it'd be interesting to see how long he can hold on to that reverse grid pole, that first position, because obviously, as we know, Danny and Kyle, as they had quite poor results from the first race, that'll actually benefit them, ironically, in the reverse grid, because they'll actually start a bit further up. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly they can come through. I would expect Danny and Kyle to be, well, Kyle doesn't like this track, so maybe not Kyle, but I would expect Danny to be right up battling for the lead within 3 or 4 laps. So
now warm-up is complete and the race is about to get underway, and we'll bring you that grid as we get ready for this second race of the evening. It'll be 13 laps around here, of course, for race 2, and it will indeed be Matt Cook on the front. Let's bring you that grid here to start with. Sean Bennett will be up there as well on the front row. Then on the second row, it's going to be Richard Maldon on the inside, ahead of the 118 of Andrew Sexton, who is alongside. Then it's Richard Spanners and James Gill, who are on row 3. Charlie Pouillet and Daniel Cook on row 4, ahead of Jose O'Donnell and Danny Henney, who is going to be starting inside the top 10. We'll let the rest of that cycle through for you here, but as Mike said, Danny Henney in a great position to try and take this win as a platinum driver there. There are some of the others ending out with Gregoire Gomez to round out the 20th place. The red lights are coming on now on the left-hand side of your screen, and we're ready to go for race 2 here in round number 5 of the Missed Apex Motorsport Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. It's a fairly even start from the front rows of the grid as they all dive in towards turn 1. It's a very near 3-wide moment into the opening part of the Centre S, but they've made it through cleanly by the looks of things. Yes, at least the top 10 or so, and then they'll make their way around turn 3, leave the Centre S and go towards the Retroposta. It's side by side for second place here as Matt Cook tries to hang on to what has become the gold lead here in the opening moments. Into the Descida del Lago they go, and Matt Cook holds on. Andrew Sexton and James Gill go side by side briefly there as well. They've sorted themselves out quite nicely. It looks like it's been a bit of a cleaner start, it's fairly safe to say, than maybe the opening race was, where we did see a little bit more going on, but the reverse grid has ironically given us a slightly cleaner start here, Mike. It's a good start, especially for Sean Bennett, who had good pace in race 1. didn't maybe finish as well as he wanted to, but he's leading silver, he's leading overall at the end of the opening lap. Still a long way to go, of course, still 12 laps or so remaining in this one. A bit wide, oh, and Andrew Sexton's off. It's a spin out of the final corner out of Junchao for Andrew Sexton, who's just got on the power too early and got things wrong, I'm afraid. He's going to crawl back up the hill again and fall all the way down to almost the very back of the field. And Andrew Sexton, after being in such a good place early, it's just a dropping of the car on the curb there. Not sure whether it was actually down to the curb or whether he just had a bit of a heavy right foot, but he's unfortunately spun around, and that is the end of a top 5 challenge for him. Now the defending comes from James Gill as Danny Henny is already on a charge round the outside of the Descida de Largo. Will go the driver of the number 2 car all the way around in the dark red and black, and he will have the inside as well for Ferradura. A really committed section of corners, turn 6 and 7. The inside line very often prevails, and it has done there for Danny Henny, who is on to the podium places here already. Leading the Platinums, of course, but he's into the podium places of the overall race. But Sean Bennett is leading the way still by just over a second. It's side by side further back between Richard Malden and Alexander Durmetsberger, I think, as Sean Bennett sets the fastest lap of the race from the front of the field. That's not too much of a surprise. Alexander Durmetsberger does make his way through. Does he? Kyle Power will be next. There is Durmetsberger in the darker car. Then it's Kyle Power who's just up further in front in the bright green, as you can see. James Gill on the defensive, just edges over back to the racing line again. Has to see Power round to the outside line and does that well. After defending to Ferradura again, I'd imagine, though. And side by side further up as well. There we go. Power tries to go around the outside. It's not going to happen. And Durmetsberger will go through on the inside by the looks of things through 6 and 7. To the next turn, he does make his way through, so Alexander Durmetsberger makes up a place again. Into the Pico de Pato they'll go now as well. He's into 5th place in the number 5 here, Alexander Durmetsberger, who came into today 4th place in the overall point standings. In the point standings, counting a drop week, I think, but anyway, he's up there and he's contending those top places in the championship. I think he's having a couple of problems himself at the moment, actually, but he's all right for the moment. James Gill will hope that that just stabilises itself before he goes side by side with him here. Won't be a problem on this particular lap, though, because Durmetsberger is not close enough to make any moves, although he did set a fastest lap of the race, as you can see at the top of your screen. Further back, I think Luke Power making moves there, possibly, along with Richard Spanners as well, who's up inside the top 10 right now. Bit of side by side just behind Kyle Power as well, as O'Donnell and Malden go side by side. Lot going on in the 3.5s at the moment into the Descida de Largo. There is the gold battle. This is for 2nd place in class. Malden goes down the inside. Is that? And he goes through. It gets displaced actually. O'Donnell is through, and so is Luke Power in the purple and yellow, if you like. That's what you call those colours. The bright yellow of Richard Malden in the gold category. So O'Donnell's through, and maybe that's not too much of a surprise. He'll try and chase down Matt Cook, who was the pole sitter, of course, for race 2, and is still holding on to a good place in gold as well now in this race. Sean Bennett still leads the way. Danny Henny right behind. The battle for the lead is on with 9 laps to go. It's surely going to change hands very soon. Around the outside goes Danny Henny, and through he'll go as well. Sean Bennett with no interest in fighting him, really. Danny Henny very glad about that, because he can now run away with the race lead. James Gill is holding off Alexander Durmetsberger for 3rd place. I'm not entirely sure why, because if he puts together, then maybe he could catch Bennett, but clearly wants to fight for this place. Durmetsberger heads down the inside. He's trying to bully him to the left-hand side. There is Bennett. As late on the brakes goes Matt Cook. That's very wide. And Kyle Power will go through on 5th foot with him. But side by side there between Durmetsberger and Gill. Eventually the Platinum driver prevails. That was maybe a bit more difficult than he imagined a few laps ago. He is through then, Durmetsberger. into the podium places. Going to try and chase down Sean Bennett now, who's surely on course for a silver race win in race 2. James Gill he's got to worry about, but just on the battling we saw there, I don't think Gill is going to give anything to anyone in this race. It's going to let him battle away and do what he can with that. So into the Junchao they go. That was a bit deep from Matt Cook, and through will go Luke Power, surely on the inside here. He's well, no, he hasn't quite got to the inside for the left-hander at turn 14, which always prevails, of course, because it's a shorter distance and there's no real benefit going around the outside of 14. Through 15 and through the middle, goodness me, O'Donnell that is, Jose O'Donnell goes through the middle with a huge head of steam. Power was on the outside there and very nearly got into contact with first O'Donnell and then Matt Cook on different sections of turn 1. What a big load of speed that was for O'Donnell as he steamed through the middle and surprised them both, surprised me. Through he goes into 6th place. What a fantastic move from him. Side by side further back as well between Malden and Williams now for 9th place. Stephen Williams prevailing in that one, the Platinum driver. In fact, all of the Platinum drivers who were competing well up towards the front earlier are doing all right again, although I've not seen Gregoire Gomez this race. Don't know where he's ended up. He's 22nd. Clearly, he has not had a good time of things because he's 20 seconds off of Danny Henny at the moment, and that is Gomez side by side. He's being run right round the outside by newcomer at the moment, or one of the newcomers anyway, in the silver category, Ollie Ricks, I think that is. Yeah, so side by side through 6 and 7. Gomez eventually hangs on, but it was harder fought than he was hoping for. And in the end, he does cling on, does Gomez. So now we go back up to the front. Sean Bennett still under pressure. This time Alexander Tomitzberger, who's down his inside, and that was a bit easier than it was on James Gill. But that silver battle for the race lead will be upon us very soon. James Gill, of course, one of the championship contenders, the driver second place in the championship, in fact, going into today. 3 points behind Snortland, who is in 3rd in silver at the moment, but surely Gill is going to have time on his side with 7 to go, including the one they're on at the moment. He's going to have time to take this race lead away. Maybe I gave Sean Bennett the race win too early, because he's going to be challenged here right to the end. Just sort of depends on whether Kyle and Luke Power get involved. Maybe that will disrupt James Gill in his attempts to get through here. If he starts getting attacked, then maybe Sean Bennett will hang on after all. There is Kyle Power though in the number 1 in the lime green, very easily spottable, and will be looking for his way through. Still inside the top 5, looking for an overall podium though. What are the exits of Junchao looking like? Because it's a very, very important corner indeed. There'll be 6 laps to go at the end of this one as they run up towards the line. James Gill almost too close for a slingshot here towards turn 1. He will now get to the outside of Sean Bennett, who gives the place over, and it's going to be a new leader in silver. Down the inside as well goes Kyle Power, and through he goes into 4th place. So good pass from the number 1 driver as he made his way through and capitalised on what was going wrong for Sean Bennett. He now moves backwards and further back to some others in platinum as well and gold, who are catching him for those top 5 positions. So James Gill certainly running away with the silver class lead at the moment.
Listen.
So here we go with the gold class leaders, or at least the pole sitter here. Mike, I understand you're back now. Matt Cook involved here in a very congested part of the field, the midfield, which is providing a lot of action for us at the moment.
That's great, and to see Richard Malden up there battling away our own race control. We couldn't do any of this without Richard. He's hot on the heels of Matt Cook. Matt is a great guy. He does a lot of ovals, does a lot of enduros, and Tim Ellis in 11th. That's quite a surprising place for Tim to be. Again, it looks like some of the liveries haven't loaded up. We've got Tim Green there, but he's actually in blue, and I would expect him to be all over the back of Richard Malden. Good to see Danny Henny right up at the front. Oh, Kyle's come off. That was contact there, Kyle. Look at this. Watch as we come up to the centre S's.
Well, who do you reckon's at fault for that one? Because that looked like a very difficult one to call between Kyle Power and the one on the inside was James Gill, of course, leader of the silver class.
A battle of the ages. Kyle, one of the oldest drivers in iRacing. James, one of the youngest. I'm sure Kyle will be delighted to hear that. But yes, it looked to me as though James just tagged Kyle, spun him out. Now, of course, James might have damage from that. There might be damage on his car. He might need to just do a quick, fast repair pit stop if his car's handling is bad. But James is still running in third with Luke Power all over the back of him. Now, this is the battle of the two teenagers. They don't normally battle against each other. Luke has normally got a bit of an edge over James, but we'll see. James is holding him off at the moment, and they're coming up to the fastest part of the track, going along the start-finish straight, cutting across the pit entry. And of course, this is, as we said, the famous there's block part of the track. And Hamilton won his first championship. Now, can Luke get past as they come up to the Senna S's? He's very close behind, and he might well make a lunge for it. And no, he seems to have backed out. He's giving James the chance. James is going to cut across the track on the inside. You can cut across the curve there as long as you don't touch the grass. You touch the grass, you'll spin straight out. You can go across the curve, and this is one of the closest racing that we've got right here at the moment. Luke's ducking out, trying to show his nose to James, and a bit further down the field. Kyle Power fighting his way back up after James knocked him off the track. Kyle is going to be, he's going to be furious. He's going to want to get back up to James. He's not going to want to fight him. He's going to want to get up there and pass him. He's going to not battle with his fists. He's going to battle with his car.
It's going to look like that. So further back, we do have some of the others in fights at the moment. Daniel Shortland, interestingly, is in 11th at the moment. There's Richard Spanners in the middle in 12th, and then you've got Matt Cook in 13th. Just up in front, Richard Mowden as well. Tim Ellis is not too far away either. All this is a fight for 9th place, really, in the overall field. Anyway, involves all three classes.
And Matt, something must have happened to Matt. He was further up the field a couple of minutes ago. He's now, as you said, dropped down to 13th. And we've got EJ coming up behind. Now, this is going to be interesting because, of course, you saw EJ and Spanners having that battle on the hot lap video before we came into the race coverage. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if EJ gets right on the back of Spanners. Spanners is going to start to panic when he sees that yellow and red car coming behind him.
James Gill side by side with Luke Power at the moment for third place. Would have thought that Gill might have come under a bit more pressure for his silver lead in recent times, but no, it's for third overall, and Luke Power goes right round the outside of 6 and 7. That was a spectacular move, although it's not done yet. They're still side by side through 8. Now round the outside through 9 goes James Gill, giving the inside for the Bico de Pato if he can stay there, but he can't. And it's going to be Luke Power who's onto the podium. That was a special move round the outside of that right-hander. You don't often see it actually work round there.
That's proper racing. We like to see that. And James is not giving up. He's not dropping back. Although he's got to be careful because he's got Jose O'Donnell leading the gold class, closing up on him fast. And of course, behind him, Kyle Power, our overall championship leader, who's going to want to mix it up with these guys. Kyle's going to be really pushing behind that. Oh, here we go. Look at this.
So O'Donnell, we're following at the moment. He tries to get through on Gill, but can't quite. This is two of the subclass leaders, of course. Gill for silver and O'Donnell for gold as well. Both of them championship contenders in their respective categories, and O'Donnell a bit more secure in his position at the front of those standings.
Only 2 laps to go, and of
gold.
course we don't know with these 2 laps to go, has anyone saved some of their 8 DRS applications? You get 8 per race. Sometimes, I know in the past, Kyle has saved some of them up, so he's got some to use in the last couple of laps and make up some places. But after the incidents that he had before being spun out by James Gill, it'd be interesting to see whether he can make a mad lunge in the last couple of laps. I mean, we've still got Danny Henney way out in front. Looks like Danny's got this one in the bag, although I hope that's not a commentator's curse. We saw what happened to him in the previous race, but hopefully Danny will bring it home. He's only got another lap or so to go after this, and he's got a good safe gap from him back to Dobertsberger.
Does very safe gap at the front of the field at the moment, and another fastest lap to go with it as well. Doesn't need to get that, of course, but has decided to anyway. Where can Kyle Power get to by the end of this one, I wonder, as he looks down the inside there of turn 1. That was his last chance into turn 1. He's not been able to do it. The last obvious overtaking opportunity on the lap is the Interlagos coming up right now. Through turn 3 they go. Power's going to have to use all of his DRS laps, if he's got any left, to go for it here into turn 4, but it's not happened. I think he will stay in 6th from here, with O'Donnell in front in 5th, and with 6 cars between himself and his nearest gold rival as well. Meanwhile, out front, Danny Henney is leading the way, a good 10 seconds or so in front of these guys. He'll be approaching the final sector very soon and on his way to a victory here in round 5 in race number 2. Now O'Donnell will still have to defend from Kyle Power. It's another look to the outside from the green machine and can't quite do it into turn 10. And Stephen Williams just behind as well. That's a lot of overtaking from him over the course of the day up there. Maybe not as much as Luke Power has done, in all fairness. He's now up to 3rd position. Meanwhile, up front though, it's going to be Danny Henney who wins the race here at Interlagos. Race number 2 of round 5 in the Formula Renault 3.5 Championship goes to him. It will be Dobertsberger 2nd, with Luke Power 3rd, and that was a dead heat across the line almost. O'Donnell and Power, Kyle Power that is, going side by side across the line, and I think O'Donnell will have just been able to get there in time. But that was a photo finish between them at the end. Further back, Gregoire Gomez, by the way, only just looking to the top 20 again. So he will start very much up towards the front, the final race of the evening. Watch out for him when he gets there, or when we get there in a few moments' time. But Mike has gone and found our race winner, brought him in here. Mike, you've brought in Danny Henney. We'll have a quick chat to him now after the race.
Well, Danny, that was fantastic. I mean, we know that you're probably the world's greatest iRacer, and I think you've just demonstrated there in that race.
Thanks, Mark. I won't go that far, but I'm not a bad peddler. But yeah, it certainly went better than race 1. I was a bit frustrated the amount of points I lost to Carl and Greg for a bit of netcode. But yeah, I enjoyed that. Managed to make good work at the start of the race and then stay out of trouble.
Yeah, I think Kyle finished about 6th in this race, so you've certainly made up some points on him there. And of course, as this was reverse grid, you started him with the midfield guys. Did you have any trouble getting past any Romy in particular?
No, obviously I come up behind James Gill, who's always a good challenge out on track, but he behaved really well, so yeah, it was positive.
And you were pleased to know James Gill took Kyle out, spun him out in the centre S's during that race.
Oh, I'll have to send him that £5.
Thanks, Danny. We'll
Cheers,
put you
guys.
back into the channel, and good luck in the 3rd race.
Thanks very much to Danny Henney, who we were chatting to there. Let's have a look at the results after 13 laps here. It was Danny Henney who took the win ahead of Alexander Dobertsberger, and Luke Power joining them on the podium. James Gill was the silver class winner ahead of Jose O'Donnell, the gold class winner. Kyle Power recovered to 6th and only just beat Stephen Williams to the line. Sean Bennett slipped to 8th by the end, with Tim Ellis and Richard Spanners rounding up the top 10. Matt Cook lost 10 places in that race, still finished in 11th though. E.J. Anderson finishes at 12th ahead of Alex Van Gien. Then Daniel Snortland, who loses quite a few points on James Gill there in the silver class championship. Richard Malden and Sam Harper finished 15th and 16th, just within a half minute of the winner. Then we've got the gold class driver, number 22 of Taro Tillis there in 17th. Ollie Ricks, newcomer, in 18th. He'll be starting 3rd this next race. Mark Greenough and Gregoire Gomez on the front for the 3rd and final race of the evening. Andrew Sexton just missed out after his spin, of course, and there are the rest of them, some of whom retired there during that race. Well, Mike, that was an interesting one. I think it's fair to say. We're going to take a very short break, though. Don't go anywhere. The final race of the evening is coming up very soon. 13 more laps of racing coming up very soon.